The Black Swan murder trial of Ashley Benefield, it is underway, and it is a case that leaves a lot of questions out there. It's very much a he said, she said thing, but at the end of the day, how do you get to the facts? How do you get to determining what actually took place that resulted in the life of Doug Benefield being taken? Joining me to discuss, Shavaun Scott, psychotherapist and author. This is a tricky one. Obviously, you want to believe victims when the victims are telling the truth, but the reality is, I'm not saying she's not, victims or people sometimes claim they're victims when they're not, for their own self gain. And that may be what is happening here. I think it's something that certainly needs to be analyzed, and that's what the jury is trying to figure out. When you look at this case just from the onset of when our opening arguments, we'll take a listen in just a second. What are your thoughts going into it?
I'm finding it really interesting because I worked so much with domestic violence
Hmm.
victims. I used to be the coordinator of a women's shelter counseling program. And the thing that we would look for is the story consistent? Is there corroborating evidence? Apparently, there was a bullet hole in the ceiling.
Hmm.
And her story is that he fired a gun in the middle of an argument in an attempt to intimidate her. A fist through the wall, a story of a dog that was punched in the face and knocked unconscious. These are all really red flags for
Sure.
someone that even if he's not hitting her, he's trying to intimidate and bully her.
Hmm.
And that really sets off my radar. The other thing that makes it difficult is many battered women don't talk about it
Hmm.
because they're ashamed, they're embarrassed, and they feel foolish for being in the relationship. They don't know what to do, so they don't tell people. But sometimes they do. And so I think that's going to be another key area. Did she talk to people
Hmm.
about these events? Did she express concern? There was also mention that he had a tracker on her car and was peeping in her windows. Do other people know anything about that?
Hmm.
And if this turns out to be true, even half of this turns out to be provable, I think that that tips the scale in her direction.
But that is the problem. How do you prove some of it? Because
How do
a
you prove
lot
it?
of these things are simply allegations. Now, there is evidence. The daughter, in fact, testified. Doug's daughter testified to seeing that hole in the ceiling. Now, did she see
Yeah.
him fire a gun? No, she did not. But if you were to guess and look at the circumstantial evidence and make an assumption, that could be what one would glean. She also testified about their relationship, from what she did see of it when they were together. Let's take a look at some of that testimony, and then we'll talk on the other side.
How often would you say that Ashley and your father would disagree within your hearing?
Never.
Okay. You said if Ashley was trying to get her point across that she would go on and on about that?
Yes.
Okay. So you don't term that as a disagreement?
No.
Okay. And what would you term that as?
My dad just listened to her voice her concerns.
Okay. Did you ever hear your dad at any time yell at her?
No.
Did you ever hear your dad do something or say something that was controlling to her?
No.
Was that hole in the ceiling of your kitchen, can you describe it?
It was small.
Small, kind of round,
Yes.
consistent with an object,
Let me finish the question.
consistent with an object the size of a bullet?
Yes.
Now, obviously, if there's gunplay going on at the home, that's never a good thing. And like you
Never
said,
good.
that is very much one trying to intimidate someone. It is a still he said, she said thing. I'm surprised we don't know more about exactly what occurred there, but it certainly, if to be true, does help us understand a little bit more about the battered woman syndrome that she's claiming in all
Yeah.
of this. That being said, was the shots justified? That's the question I think that we have here. If he wasn't a clear and present danger, if he wasn't there trying to hurt her, which we don't know the answer to,
Yeah.
is could she have simply reacted based on previous interactions, based on that gun being fired, based on if there were previous threats, maybe overreacted, but reacted based on her definition of who Doug is in her mind, who he's
Yeah.
demonstrated himself to be. And then Doug ends up losing his life, not necessarily because he was going to hurt her or anything in that moment, but because she perceived it based
Exactly.
on her previous conditioning.
Yeah, that's one of the things about post-traumatic stress and what we call battered women syndrome is a type of post-traumatic stress. And people with that brain patterning, which is because of things that have happened to them, they tend to have big reactions. We always hear about, oh, veterans who have been exposed to combat have big reactions when they hear firecrackers going off or cars backfiring. And that's one of the hallmarks of PTSD is having a big reaction to something that may not be all that threatening, but the person misperceives it. And it's just really hard to know. The other thing that struck me as unusual in the daughter's testimony is that she never once heard them have a disagreement.
Hmm.
Couples always have disagreements.
Sure.
That's normal. And so that made me a bit concerned that perhaps unconsciously she's got a confirmation bias going on. She loves her father. She wants to remember her father well. And she may have heard things that she's just sort of wiping the slate
Yeah.
clean. She doesn't want to present him that way.
And I think sometimes too, when you're around people who are always, if the outside looking in, you go, wow, these people are disagreeing all the time. And then you bring up to them, like, why are you guys always bickering at each other? We don't do that. We're not bickering. It's just like that's how they communicate into the rest of the world.
Exactly.
And if you're a child that is around that, I've been one of them.
Yeah.
You get out of that situation and you realize, oh my gosh, wow, they really bicker a lot. But
Yeah.
in your conditioning, this is normal life. So the
100%.
way she described that, of well, my dad listened to her.
Hmm.
Probably did. But
Hmm.
if one's going on and on and on about something, that's just not normal expression. That
Right.
there's something that is troubling about that.
Yeah.
Um, this is an interesting case where we're looking at Ashley Benefield trying to determine what exactly happened that day where she fired the gun at Doug Benefield, and I think we rather than looking at her, and I think a lot of us are looking at her as, is she lying? Is she trying to come up with the story because she got caught and she thought she was going to get away with this? I don't know that that's the case. I don't know that
Hmm.
her force was justified by any means, but I don't know that she's sitting here spinning a tale. I think, and this, I hate this damn term, but I'm going to use it, uh, her truth. But I think it's more
Yeah.
accurate to say through her prism, I think makes a little
Yeah.
more sense because there's only one
Hmm.
truth of what reality is. And if someone's overreacting,
Hmm.
they're overreacting.
Yeah.
But through her prism, she likely perceived a greater threat than was actually there. And that could have been from what
Yeah.
Doug had did in the past. It could just be her personality type as it is. She could be a
Yeah.
person who overreacts to everything in life and sees things through a very different prism because of a personality disorder or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing that struck me is how just unfortunate it is for a couple to be in the middle of an argument and have a gun
Yeah.
accessible. I'm seeing so many of these cases where people, if they were calm, they never would have pulled the trigger. But it's the middle of an argument, and if somebody's got a gun handy, we're most at risk from guns in the household, either hurting ourselves or hurting someone else in the house, more so than the stranger, right?
Hmm.
People always have the guns for the stranger, the intruder who they fear is going to come in. I understand that. But angry people, and certainly in couple relationships, people can get very volatile
Hmm.
and very threatening. And when they're calm, they never would hurt each other.
Hmm.
But having a gun present just really increases the risk factor for a murder.
especially if you're an impulsive person. And I think we can
Yeah.
garner from their relationship. Both of them or her were impulsive people. They got married after 13 days of knowing
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and she was a gun owner. She used it quite.
Yeah.
She knew how to use it. She had it. Here's some testimony from Doug's cousin Tommy, talking about the first time that he kind of met her and realized she had a gun in her bra. Let's take a look.
Did Ashley ever discuss with you that she carried a gun?
Yes.
And what did she say about that?
She said that on their initial meeting, in the political meeting, that she and Doug's traveling partner in business, went outside of Secret Service people, and she showed him the gun she was carrying at that event in her bra.
That's great. Carrying weapons around where Secret Service is nearby. Not a good idea at any time.
No.
I mean,
No.
but judging by Secret Service's track record recently, I guess it's not hard to understand how they got that by. But yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that someone carries a gun as a paranoid person. They're not. People have been through things, and some people may just find that security to be adequate, and that's what they need. May not be reality of what's going on around you, but some people carry it. And like you said, if that's that accessible and tempers are high, that's where it gets really dangerous.
100%. Yeah.
Let's take a look or a listen here. This is the 911 call that took place. This is the neighbor who made that phone call. That's the male voice you're going to hear on here. In the background, we can hear Ashley crying. We're on the screen going to see Ashley's reaction in the courtroom as this is being played back. I want you to watch her reaction because I'm curious to get your take on that on the other side. Here we go.
Manatee County 911, what is the address of your emergency?
Hi, my address is...
Okay, can you repeat that for me to make sure I have it correctly?
the house next door, honey, what's your address? Okay, it's right next door to me. She just came over. Her strange husband attacked her, and she says she shot him. Now, we've not gone over there yet.
Okay, what's his name?
Who?
What is his name?
His name is Doug Benefield.
Okay.
I have not gone over there. I'm not going to go back.
I don't want you to go over there. Stay on the line just one moment. I'm going to connect you over to the sheriff's dispatch, okay?
Okay.
One moment.
Calm down, honey. Calm down. She's with me now, quite upset. The weapon is here.
Yeah.
You want me to go over and look at anything, or just wait for the...
No, I want you to just wait for the police, okay?
All right, if you could just get them here quick. She came in, she was quite hysterical. I didn't know who was banging on my door. Said that he attacked her, and she shot him.
Okay. I'm just getting that on the screen, okay?
Okay. I know, honey. Come on, calm down. I know. Go ahead, ma'am.
Where is the gun? Is it with her or is it just...
I have it right here, ma'am. It's sitting on the floor inside the door. My door's locked, so in case he isn't, he can't get up. I'm also armed if he does come over and try to harm her, just so everybody knows.
Okay.
I'm kind of concerned with her mother and the little girl might get back there and find this whatever happened. Don't go out there, honey. Come on. I know. Come on, honey. Sit down. Sit down. I know.
Yeah. All right, I just want you guys to stay on the phone with me, okay?
No, I'm right here with you. I'm just with her. I'm trying to comfort her. We're in the house. Or the police are going to want, no problem. I know, baby. You got to sit down. Come on. There's no... Well, honey, they want you to stay here. If he isn't, we can't take a chance. That's why I want them to hurry up before they get back in the park.
Deputies are moving as fast as they can. They're coming priority. They're coming lights and sirens. They just want to get and make sure that everything's okay. I want to... So where in the house is he?
Where in the house is he? Her bedroom. No, I don't know where that is. Just be calm. You know they're going to take you into custody. You know that, right? Okay, just so you know. You just calm down and just calm. Okay. I know.
So that's a good portion of the 911 call right there. We got to see a lot of Ashley's reactions. What's your take on that?
It struck me as a person who was reliving a very severe trauma, and it looked entirely genuine to me. Could a person have faked her reaction in court to that extent, for that long? I watching her throughout the hours that went on yesterday, I was able to catch it here and there, and her responses always looked very, very genuine.
Mhm.
This is a very difficult trial for her, clearly. And, it really, in my gut, tipped the scales toward believing her.
Yeah. Honestly, mine have too. Not that I'm saying that she was justified in her actions,
Yeah,
but believing she believed that she was
yeah,
in that danger. And when someone is in that sort of state, are they responsible then for what they did? I mean, are they criminally responsible for what they did? If it is a reaction, if it is battered spouse syndrome, if there is some sort of disorder or mental illness going on here, that would make someone through their prism believe that this is what's happening. I mean, granted, we have heard the stories of her testimony to previous judges claiming abuse and other things in the child custody, and the court has said we don't believe you.
yeah,
Not one scintilla of truth. So it's not to say that she's it could be one of those cases where she completely believes what she's saying,
right.
and through her perception, there is this threat, there is this need, this fear perceived by her, which may not actually be there.
Yeah,
And that's again her truth, through that prism. But if it's not the truth, that there really isn't a threat, but she's believing there's a threat, and she acts on her own emotions, which may be out of line or which may be not consistent with reality.
yeah,
Um, is she culpable for his murder? Then,
yeah. I've seen juries go both ways
yeah.
with that, and it just depends. We don't know. Another thing that I'll throw in is that family court hears so many allegations about abuse in custody cases,
Hmm.
and many of them are not founded.
Sure.
Um, but there's a significant percentage of cases where judges get it wrong.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we know that when women ask for restraining orders,
Hmm.
the judges deny the restraining orders and then they're shot dead later on by
Oftentimes,
the
yes, we see it
husband.
all the time.
Yes,
Yeah,
all the time. So judges can get it wrong.
I completely agree with that. This is just such a fascinating case to watch and try to decipher, because you're trying to get into the mind of someone, and
Mhm.
you're not. What I'm surprised we haven't seen yet, and I'm wondering if we will see, because this case is going very fast. If we're going to see any sort of digital evidence here, if we're going to see
Mhm.
what's going on in texts between mom and daughter, or between Ashley and whoever it may be,
Yeah.
what that is
Yeah.
going to reveal. Is it going to reveal some sort of nefarious plot, or is it going to reveal someone who is very scared and very
Yeah.
nervous, and doesn't maybe necessarily have a handle on what reality is, but
Mhm.
her perception and her fears and her trauma make her fear that something is far greater than it may actually be. And
Yeah.
if that's what you're believing, you're going to react in that way.
Yeah.
So it is more understandable. Yeah, we'll have to keep watching to see how this all plays out. But I agree. This is why we have trials. This is why we don't just go off of the
Yeah.
evidence at the beginning and go, here's where
Yeah.
it's all going to end. Because at the beginning of this, I was very much more, I think she's kind of making this up, but I'm trying to understand it in her shoes a little bit more. And I'm seeing it and I'm understanding it better, going, okay, I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle of
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah.
and the
That makes sense.
very gray area.
Mhm.
Hey, thanks for checking out the video. Be sure to follow us wherever you download podcasts, and especially Apple Podcasts, where you can get advanced episode and premium content on our premium channel right there. Also, be sure to follow us on social media so you don't miss any breaking updates on the stories that matter to you most. We're on TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook. Just search Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Brueski, and you'll find us right there. Again, thanks for watching.